guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms here in the mountains of North Carolina. And today we're going to be comparing the CF29 with the new Panasonic CF30. And I say new because it's still a very, very old computer. But the CF29 I've had here in the inventory, this thing has been plugging away for many, many years. This runs a pirate radio station here in the mountains of North Carolina called 1670 Wasted Radio. It also streams that onto Shoutcast, and it's also a bulletin board system, a BBS, so it does that as well. So it's kind of a multi-use. It does live streaming, it does streaming, and it also runs a BBS. So it's a very it's very used for very old system. Now this one has a single core Centrino, which is like a Pentium N, Pentium 3, 1.6 gigahertz processor, single core. Now this one is a Mark V CF29, and it is upgraded, which is like an unofficial upgrade, to 2 gigabytes of RAM, so it is maxed out. Nice setup for what it is. Also, and this is the biggest thing that this thing had going for it, I put a SSD PATA drive, PATA drive in this thing, which was a little hard to come by. But that made this thing useful because, to be honest with you, once I installed Windows 7 on this thing was dog slow. It was terrible. But putting in a SSD drive on this certainly made it better. No DVD drive, no CD drive on this, just a floppy, which obviously I haven't used in many years. But it does work. It's just getting on. So the problem with this system recently is that anytime I try to do anything, if I want to add tracks or anything to the music setup of it, well, it takes forever to do anything. If I want to go on, internet and use Google Chrome, it takes forever to even log into it because it's just maxing out that processor, and the memory is pretty much all used up. So when you have all those background processes running, it just kills this thing. So I've moved up to this. This is a CF30, and I'll do a video just on it here in a second. But I thought for today I'd do a speed test. Both these have Windows 7 Ultimate loaded on them, 32-bit. This one's 2 gig, this one's 4 gig. This also has an SSD drive. I think this one's a 30 gig PATA. This is a 80 gig SATA. So a little bit of a speed difference there probably. We're ready to go. They both should load up to the BBS software when they come on, and there's some background processes that also run on. But being that this is a 1.66 and this is a 1.6, but this being a dual core, I bet you they boot roughly the same time the way they're set up. But the overhead, like when you try to do anything else, that's where you're going to notice a difference. So got a great deal on this one. 90 hours on that one when I picked it up. This one, I think it's about 12,000 hours because it just sits there running for most of its life. But let's do it. Let's do our little speed test here. Hopefully they both click on at the same time. There we go. And let's see what happens. Now, it used to take about 2 minutes for the CF29 to boot up when it still had the regular physical PATA drive, PATA. But when I put the SSD in, it certainly sped the process up some. Okay. Well, there it goes. A few seconds difference, not terribly big in a difference. You will notice that that is not as bright a screen as the new CF30. This is a touch screen, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. This one is not a touch screen, at least I don't believe it is. Let me go ahead and minimize both these, and we'll take a look at Resource Monitor and see what's going on in the background here. That's CPU. Let's go to CPU, and there we go. So looks like 16 to 100%, 95% CPU usage, 25. The CF29 is definitely struggling when anything opens or closes. This one has stayed at 1%, and memory is just amazing. The differences, you can see the CPU totals there maxing out several times. This one barely budging, and so that's where the main difference is going to be. Also, if we go over to memory here, 28% of memory usage and 15% of memory usage. So again, we're looking at, considerably less overhead tied up on this one here. And disk usage, man, when this thing was a mechanical disk drive, that thing would be at 100%. It was always disk swapping. So you can see it still maxes out on both these, but it's also in a fully SSD state, so it's just rocking and rolling. Does look like that one has some more services that kind of open and close, where this one's just doing its thing. Winamp, the streaming is not 100% set up on this. It's the software's loaded up, but I don't know that it's actively streaming right now. And that might also be a slight variation there. But anyway, that's it for today. This is just an introduction to these two vintage computers. If you're interested in knowing this, old computers like this, they can do an awful lot still. This CF30 being a dual core, but a very old dual core, most people would think it's completely outdated. I spent about 50 bucks on that. And, well, 60 because I had to buy the charger separately. So let's say 60 bucks on that thing. And I mean, look at what we're going to be able to do. I'm going to run a radio station. I'm going to run a bulletin board system. I'm going to run a shoutcast stream service. And instead of being able to run just on 20 people, probably get about 50 with the bandwidth that I have and the overhead of the CPU that I have here. And I'm going to run one other thing. I'll make a video on that somewhere down the line. But there's another program that I'm going to be adding to this that I'll be able to do more stuff with. So this is going down off the mountain to run a new FM radio station. It's just basically the software is going to be the same. We'll just be transmitting on FM. We'll change to a different shoutcast server for that. So we'll have two stations running, one up here in the mountains and one down in a larger city. So that's what's going on there. And I'm not positive, but this may become its own BBS as well. This one will continue on as the Midnight Cafe. That one there will probably become something else. Who knows what it will become? Maybe something relative to the FM station that he's going to be running down there. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, perhaps you'll think about liking and subscribing. And I'll see you next time. Take care.
There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms. Freedom is mighty sweet.